finances, we are so disconnected from things like our food, our clothing, and this really helped me understand. The more that I learned about it, the more that I learned that you can do slow fashion on a budget. You just have to be thoughtful about how you go about it. Hi friends, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new around here, I share about slow living and specifically homesteading and slow fashion on a budget. So I am going to dive into slow fashion today. I wanted to start off by talking about what slow fashion is and why it matters, and also why it specifically matters to me and how I got started on this journey. Slow fashion is the opposite of fast fashion, which is how most of our fashion industry is run today. With fast fashion, we're trying to keep up with the latest trends, and clothing is often made from polyester, which is a synthetic that has plastic in it, and clothing is just made to follow the trends, not made to last. And so in order to keep up with that, there are a lot of unethical practices within the fashion industry. Some countries have child labor, some countries do not pay their workers fairly, and some do not safe working conditions for their workers. I had heard a little bit about slow fashion, but I thought there's no way that I can be a part of that because I didn't think I could afford it. The more that I learned about it, the more that I learned that you can do slow fashion on a budget. You just have to be thoughtful about how you go about it. So the thing that got me interested in slow fashion was after my son was born, I wanted to learn how to sew for him. And I had a sewing machine that had been given to me by my grandma, and I'd barely touched it. I think my mom had tried to teach me, and I gave up after a while and was really busy with college. But I was really motivated to learn, and I began learning how to sew. I started with baby bonnets because I really liked those baby bonnets by Breyer, but I didn't feel like I could spend $30, $40 on a baby bonnet. And so I wanted to learn how to do it myself. And sewing was a lot harder than I expected. There was just so much craftsmanship that goes into pieces of clothing. Trying to get the lines straight and cutting things correctly, it was really hard. And after learning to sew, it made me start thinking about the fast fashion industry and the harmful impact of it. And specifically, I started thinking about those people who made my clothes. And in the past, I had just been able to not think about it and kind of put it out of my brain. But once I knew what it took to sew and the practice and skill that went into it and how hard it was, I started thinking of course they need to be paid fairly, but I don't think I had felt connected to it before. I think that's something that with our society, with conveniences, we are so disconnected from things like our food, our clothing, and this really helped me understand. I decided I wanted to change the way that I thought about clothing. I was a couple weeks, maybe months postpartum, and this was also in the middle of COVID. I was wearing oversized sweats pretty much every day. My clothes didn't fit right. I wanted to start changing the way that I thought about clothing. I used some ideas for how I was able to completely transform my wardrobe. It is an ongoing process. There's still a lot of things that I would like to invest in, but I have not exclusively been shopping slow fashion since then, but have drastically changed the way that I think about my clothing and shop for new pieces. The first thing that you need to do if you're interested in changing how you shop for clothing and moving towards slow fashion is to find your why. I think about this for any major lifestyle change, is that you need to figure out why you're going to do it, or when it gets hard, you're not going to continue on with it. After you decide what your why is, I recommend starting by going through your entire wardrobe. I did this 3 years ago. No, it would have been almost 4 years ago when I was getting started with slow fashion. And I ended up making a few different piles. So I would recommend having a pile of things that you absolutely love, for sure want to keep, a pile of things that you want to donate, maybe some shirts that are still in wearable condition, but they're not from an expensive brand, so you really couldn't resell them for very much. Things that you want to sell, so that's like higher priced items that didn't end up working for you for some reason, that you think you could make a profit by selling either on Poshmark or Facebook Marketplace or a garage sale. And then a pile that is a maybe, so things that you haven't worn in a while, but maybe give them another 6 months and see if you can incorporate them into your wardrobe. And then the last pile is a trash pile. So I hate to throw any clothes away, but this is things like maybe old underwear that doesn't work anymore, or socks that have holes in them. You probably can look into recycling those items. So the next thing that I recommend doing is taking note of what you love and why you love it. So if you have a shirt that you feel really good in, is it the color of the shirt? Is it the cut of it? For example, I like to wear scoop necks. I do not look very good in high neck clothes. Jot down some notes or things that, like, reasons why you think you really like those items. The next thing is to make a list of the gaps. So for example, if you notice that you have, I used to do this, like I would buy 5 shirts that looked very similar because I liked cream colored shirts with some lace details, and then I have way too many of those, but I don't have enough pants that fit. Make note of some gaps in your wardrobe for things that would help you be able to wear more of the items that you own. Maybe you have outgrown your shorts, or maybe you need a nice winter jacket. Make note of those things. And then if you really don't know where to start, a seasonal color analysis. I haven't actually technically done this, but I've done a lot of research on it, and I believe that I'm a soft summer. This can help you find a color palette to wear that like these are your best colors. So another piece of advice that I have for if you are beginning to shop for slow fashion is to really be thoughtful about the pieces that you are purchasing. So if you try something on, or you get something in the mail and you don't love it, I would highly recommend not keeping it, because when you are, especially if you're building a capsule wardrobe, you want to have pieces that you're going to love and reach for over and over again. And I know that I have gone shopping before secondhand, things online, things at a new store, and I've purchased it because it was on sale or they didn't quite have my size, and then that piece sits in the back of my closet for months. I feel like if you don't love it in the store, it's a good indicator that you're probably not going to love it at home. And that's a great way to save your money too, is with not purchasing things that you're not going to use. And I highly recommend choosing timeless pieces over trendy. So one of the things with slow fashion is that you're not just trying to keep up with the trends. You're not just trying to purchase things in bulk because they're on sale. You're being incredibly thoughtful about the things that you are choosing to spend your money on. Currently, there's some trends going around that I'm a little bit tempted to try. I might look for some items secondhand and try them out, but I don't want to just do a complete overhaul of my wardrobe every single time that the trends change, which it seems like recently jeans trends in particular have changed every few months, and I cannot afford to go out and buy all of these new jeans every time that the trends change. So I try to opt for classic pieces that I think I could see myself wearing in 10 years. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. I think Audrey Coyne may have been the person that I learned that from. I'll link her YouTube channel down below, but she talked about how she tries to find pieces that she'll love. Talked about investing in pieces that you think you will see yourself wearing in the future and not just right now. And so that really helped me slow down and be really thoughtful about the things that I buy. Another thing that I want to say, if you're somebody who's new in your slow fashion journey, especially if you're trying to do this on a budget, is to give yourself grace. So for example, when I was postpartum with my daughter, I gained a significant amount of weight with her, especially due to some medication that I was on. I was not very active during my pregnancy with her, and pre-pregnancy clothes were definitely not fitting, and so I decided to invest in a few things in the size that I currently was, and that really helped both it helped my confidence, and it just was easier to get ready in the morning. I tried to find things secondhand first, but I had no idea what my size was, so I ultimately ended up going to Target and purchasing some pieces. Target does offer some fair trade things, but not everything from Target is fair trade. I struggled with that at first because I thought, this is not slow fashion. I really want to support ethical practices, but I think ultimately I had to evaluate what I could afford and what I realistically had time for as a new mom. I didn't buy a lot, but I bought a couple of things in my size that fit me and that worked. And so don't be so hung up on having to do it perfectly. I think if we all make small changes, it makes a big difference over time, especially if everybody collectively makes changes in the way that we think about our clothing. Another thing that I want to say is building a wardrobe, especially a slow fashion wardrobe, takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And so if you're just beginning this journey, it can be really tempting to want to get rid of everything you have and to start from scratch. But that is not very sustainable, and it's also, I don't know anybody who can afford that in my real life. So yeah, just be really thoughtful. And if you are overwhelmed by all of this and don't feel like you still don't know where to start, I think the best thing that you can do is to start by buying less and to use what you already have. And so if you know me in real life, I will wear the same things over and over and over again. For example, I had a shirt that I did buy from a slow fashion brand. It's a linen shirt. The brand, I don't know if they're around anymore. I spent $60 on this shirt, which felt like a lot of money to me. I sold some items to be able to afford to pay for it. And I have worn that shirt hundreds of times in the last 3 years. Like, I wear it weekly. I similarly purchased a couple of shirts from a fast fashion brand while I was pregnant because, again, I was trying to buy what I could afford for a season that wasn't very long. And those started pilling. They started falling apart within a matter of months. And when you do purchase, don't just think about purchasing slow fashion the same way that you would purchase fast fashion. Purchase very intentionally. If you like this video, the next one that is up at the end of it is about mastering the art of secondhand shopping. And I hope that that will be helpful to you if you're wanting to begin looking for secondhand items to support the slow fashion industry on a budget. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and I will see you next time. Bye.